Good evening, football fans. Welcome to McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium as the visiting PSJA Bears take on the Rowe Warriors in the special Thursday edition of Valley High School football. You're tuning into ValleyCentral.com. I'm Kevin Otto, bringing you the play-by-play action. Right by me is Mario Reina. So we've heard the stories between the PSJ Bear defense and the high-octane offense of Rowe. So, Mario, you're familiar with the McAllen teams. You were speaking with some of the coaches and some of the players from Rowe. So just kind of give the fans the vibe on what's going on the Rowe sideline.
Well, there's no surprise coming into this game that Rowe, the coach Reyes, in his fourth year at Rowe, has developed a culture of having Mr. Offense on the field at all times. So this year is no different. It's surprising because Coach Reyes was not even concerned that he has no starters returning this year on offense. So what they've done so far has been amazing. I talked to him earlier today and asked him about what are some of the keys to victory. And of course, like most coaches, they talk about the no turnovers and to have a couple of takeaways. And he talked about the importance of executing the game plan and to try to match the intensity of the PSJA Bears, because obviously the Bears have made a big turnaround. Last year they only won one ball game, and now they're coming in here at 3-0.
Yeah, 3-0 is correct, and 1-0 in district. The PSJ Bears are starting to opening up some eyes throughout the valley. 2 weeks ago, I covered them against Los Fresnos. All odds were against them. Their backs were against the wall. They went into Los Fresnos and got away with a 33-28 victory. The key for the PSJ Bears is to slow down this octane offense led by their quarterback, Justin Owens, who's a dual threat. He can run and he can throw. So Steve Marroquin has a tall task. The PSJ Bears, they're looking for a big game from their running back, Fili Patino. They're led by their quarterback, Jules Navarro. Now, the keys on their defense is their front seven. The Bears' defense has been their staple, led by Matthew Rodriguez, along with Ray Guajardo. We're going to be saying his name a lot tonight. So, hey, I said when irresistible force meets irremovable object.
It will be an interesting one. I'm really looking forward to it. It's good that here at McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium we had a lot of rain earlier today, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be a factor as we look out there into the field.
Now, actually, about an hour before game time, as soon as I drove up to the stadium, it started pouring rain, so that's what caused a little bit of the delay. Some of the players started warming up a little bit late. But I was walking down on the sidelines for PSJ Bears, and one we noticed was Santillan, their starting safety, will be out of this game. He has a PCL injury. I know you spoke with him earlier. I actually got to speak with his dad, so he's hoping to come back in around 2 to 3 weeks. But that's going to be an interesting story as the game progresses. Bobby Guajardo will be his replacement at the safety position. So you put that into the equation with an offense like Justin Owens, you know he's going to take his shots downfield.
Absolutely, and anytime you lose a quality individual like that young man, Santillan, it could hurt the team. And let me tell you, I spoke to him earlier today, and he was a very interesting kid, very knowledgeable of what was going on. He's actually the one that was telling me all the starters on both sides of the field, and he was talking about how he was looking forward to playing in this game because he knows that Justin Owens is coming in here as probably the hottest quarterback in the valley.
Speaking of hot, yes, you're correct. Owens was responsible for a shade under 500 yards in last week's loss to the McAllen Bulldogs. That was a shootout, 42-40. They came off that loss, so they're 0-1 in district. They're looking to grab their first district win of the year. Meanwhile, the PSJ Bears got their first district win against PSJ Memorial last week. So like we both said, the Bears were under the radar coming in, so it's 31-5A action. We're about set for kickoff. The Rowe Warriors won the toss, and they elected to receive. So right out of the gate, the ball will be in Owens' hands.
Yes, and you know, Owens came in here, and anytime you're the backup quarterback to Javi Obregón last year, who was all Valley, he had to have learned a lot just by playing that role. So Justin, I mean, he does not look, in the 2 games that I've seen him, he does not look like an inexperienced quarterback. He looks very confident, and he has no problem so far leading the offense. So he does understand, and Coach Reyes, and also speaking of him, he's thinking that this is probably going to be the best offense, the best defense he's going to have to face probably this year. But we do know, Los Fresnos has been an on and off team over the years. PSJ, this is going to be a big ball game for them because this could possibly be their real first signature victory. And once you put that, I think it's going to be real tough to stop this PSJ Bear team.
Now, I agree with you because I've seen Los Fresnos twice, once against PSJ, which that was a tough one, and then I just covered Los Fresnos last weekend. They struggled against Browns and Hannah, and Hannah's not one of the better teams in the Valley. So you're correct. It is a test for both teams when offense meets defense. This is the featured game of the week across the Valley. So we're coming to you live from McAllen, Texas. Bears Falcons. The Falcons will be receiving this kickoff, and we are underway from McAllen. And it'll be inside the 10 is where the Warriors will take it out, crossing the 20 down to the 25, still on his feet out to the 30 is where he's pushed out of bounds. So here comes Justin Owens and his offense looking to get points on the board early.
And let's give credit to Chris Manchu on that tackle for the PSJA Bears. In talking to Coach Reyes, this offense, you get so accustomed to it. It looks so easy, but there's a lot of practice, a lot of repetitions. And we got to give credit to Justin Owens that over the summer he took it upon himself, knowing that he was inexperienced. He called all his receivers and his running backs to come out and practice, and it definitely has showed up that extra practice time.
Mike Sines is the starting tailback. He now moves in motion, so we're going to start off with a trips right to the top of your screen. They're going to spread them out. It'll be a 5-receiver set for the Warriors, and right back to pass. Hits the quick screen on the 30, crossing the 35, and then down he goes. So right out of the gate, they go with a quick screen to their man.
On this offense, Kevin, you're looking to get into rhythm. So once they get into rhythm, is look out. And last year I was impressed that Rowe had to go into Wesco East, who were the district champions, and they put over 50 points there to get into the playoffs.
So a 2nd and 4. Owens going to call his own number, trying to break it to the outside, and there's still on his feet for a pickup of a couple of yards there. So you're right. The offense for Nicky Rowe, they have that pace, and I can relate them to the Sherryland Rattlers. I've seen them last year. I've seen them this year with that spread out offense, quick for the Warriors.
And the reason for that quick pace is that it doesn't give the defense a chance to sub. They have to. You keep them on their toes, and it's just one of those things that is constant pressure on the defense.
So a 3rd and 2 coming up for the Bears, and it'll be a handoff. He looks like he'll be close, and maybe he got the first down. Sines was in on the carry.
That was an excellent hit on the defensive side. I didn't get the number, but boy, there was no gain actually on that play. Did an excellent job. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm used to this. It's 4th and 2, Kevin. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for it.
That's what it looks like. They have them all spread out on the field. Trips left, 2 to the top of your screen. Maybe a possible hard count to get the defense to jump early. It'll be a 4th and 2, ball on the 40. And the Warriors will go for it. Men in the backfield, and then down he goes. How about that? The PSJ Bears force them to go 3 up and 3 down, and then they go for it on 4th down. So it'll be a turnover on downs, and that's a huge break for the Bears defensively.
And you got to give credit to Eric Castillo. Even though he did not come up with a tackle, he did an excellent job of making sure that the receiver did not go around. This did not surprise me that Coach Reyes went for it. He is a risk taker. He usually goes for it on 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and it doesn't matter if it's on his side of the field as he did that. But he has so much confidence on his offense, and but got to give credit to that Bear defense. So right off the bat here, Kevin, it's already playing out. The defense from PSJA coming up with a big play early in the game.
Yeah, that was a big stop on a big 4th down, and we're saying the word big already in the first quarter. The Bears will take over on the 34-yard line. They're already in Rowe territory. So the timeout on the field. So, yeah, you talked about the risk-taking. As the Bears will call their first timeout, they send their offense out on the field. So they're led by Jules Navarro. They were in their own territory. They went for it on 4th and short. They didn't get it, so the Bears come out with a big statement on their opening drive. What do you see defensively for the Warriors?
Well, defensively for the Warriors, they have struggled. They're coming in here with a last-ranked defense, giving up about close to 400 yards in total offense, and that's a lot of yards. I see the key to this is that I think PSJ has an edge there because they're coming into this ball game here as the 5th best in the district. They're pretty balanced, so I know they're going to probably try to make them throw because it seems like PSJ is more a running attack.
Keep an eye for Fili Patino. He's the starting running back. He's to the left of Jules Navarro. They'll get the signal call from their sideline. They have 3 receivers to the left, 1 lone receiver at the bottom of your screen. And with 2 to go on the play clock, Navarro will step back to pass. Has time, goes down the seam, ball's up, and it's nearly intercepted there by the Warriors.
And that's exactly what Rowe's going to do on defense. They're going to try to either come up and load the box and make Jesse Navarro, we call him, what's his nickname?
Jules.
Jules Navarro. They're going to try to make him, beat him by by his arm, and then once if he does that, then they're going to have to do a couple of adjustments on defense.
Yeah, gonna make him one-dimensional. So the ball on the 34, 2nd and 10 coming up for the Bears. Novato will look to throw again, looking for the quick screen. He's got his man, and it's incomplete. In and out of his hands, the intended receiver, I believe that is number 7, that is, or can't get a number. We're so high up here. I think this is the highest I've ever been up in a high school press box.
Yeah, that was a, and in that play, it was a nice throw by Navarro, but it happens even in professional football, and it happens in college football. Sometimes you want to grab that ball and look upfield. So, hey, if kids or men that drop balls that are getting paid millions, so can kids.
3rd and 10 coming up. Ball still on the 34. Some early movement. They're going to let this play run. They're going to call it dead. So the first penalty flag of the night.
And I did also talk to Coach Marroquin early this week, and I was very impressed in talking to Coach Marroquin. We'll talk about it as he tells us about the penalty.
So there'll be an approachment on the defense. So that's 5 yards plus for the Bears. So they catch a break there. So it'll be 3rd and 5. Ball on the 29.
And a break indeed because, 3rd and 5, 5 yards is big. 3rd and 5 compared to 3rd and 10. This could be a passing down, or it could even still have a handoff.
It opens up your playbook, definitely. So some early movement all over the left side of the line. So you'll get that 5 yards back if you're the Warriors. So we backed up to a 3rd and 10. One thing I do want to bring up is the Warriors are averaging 32 points a game. That is staggering. Then again, on the other side of the football, the Bears lead 31-5A with only 13 points allowed. So something's got to give here tonight.
So far, what Gabe was in that first possession, that you got to give those Bears a check mark. I don't know. There's some teams that give on their helmets they put on
Those stars.
Stars like the Bulldogs. They have some blue dog bones. But I don't know if these two teams do that.
So it's a 3rd and 10. After the false start from the Bears, backed up 5. And the quarterback in Alvaro will call his own number. Then he's tripped up around the 28-yard line. So now they're in the same spot Rowe was. They're on a 4th down and some change to go.
This will be an interesting call for Coach Marroquin. Being 4th and 7 at the 34-yard line. It's kind of like this is in the territory or a position where it's hard to punt it because you don't get much out of it. So they are going to go for it.
Yeah, so it's a good call. 4th and 7, ball on the 31, 9:45 to go in the opening quarter. The PSJA Bears forced Nicky Rowe to go a 4 and out, if you want to call it. So the Bears took over. They're on the 31-yard line. 4th and 7 coming up for the visiting Bears. Out of the gun is Navarro, looking back to pass. Has time, steps up in the pocket, then trying to elude the rush, and he does, crossing the 40. And then down he goes back into the line of scrimmage. So the 4th down, it'll be a turnover on down. So out comes Justin Owens in his second shot with the football.
And a good defensive play by the Warriors. The penetration on that is what made the play go. But that's something that you still saw out there, Kevin, a couple of missed tackles. And that was a concern by defensive coordinator Robert Bocanera. That's one of the reasons why the Bulldogs were able to score 40 points last week on them.
Yeah, he did mention tackling was an issue last week. So they were trying to improve in that category in tonight's game. So the Warriors will take over. 1st and 10, ball on the 34. They'll be going from right to left. Rolling out is Owens. Crossing the 30s in a step and throw deep down the field. Ball's in the air, and it is juggled incomplete, broken up by a PSJ defender. That is Bobby Guajardo.
I was able to see the video game last week, and Guajardo was being mentioned a lot. I don't know who was covering the game, but boy, that kid is very active. And he also looked out because he had a couple of hits in that game that I wouldn't have wanted to be that player getting hit.
So that was the story coming in. Guajardo replacing Santillana, who was the original starting safety. He's down with a PCL injury. So Guajardo is getting the call at safety. Owens, they have to fling this one to his left on the 30. Then he's shoved out of bounds. So George Tovar on the reception there for the Warriors.
And you would expect that there's 4 players from the Rowe team that are in the top 6 as receivers as they come into this game because Justin spreads it all over the place. He doesn't have one favorite target, all over our targets, but look out for Jesse Diaz. In the Bulldog game, he had an outstanding game.
So that was a pickup of 4. That'll bring up a 3rd and 6, ball on the 38. 9 minutes, 7 seconds. And the opening quarter, Warriors, Bears. 31-5A action coming live from McAllen, Texas. Owens has time, going to step up in the pocket. Being rushed from behind, and down he goes.
Pretty much we got to give credit to that. Almost no gain on that one, but nobody's going to get credit on this one. But I have to mention it was the defense, the backs, the safeties did a good job because Justin had enough time. He had enough time to to find a receiver, and he just couldn't find a receiver. And by that time, the defensive line from PSJA came in and put on the tackle on Justin Owens.
Yeah, Nick Mendoza, Thomas Quiros, Ray Guajardo, and then Matthew Rodriguez, who they call the Bull in practice. So he displayed on why they call him the Bull. They were all in on that rush there on Owens. So the Warriors will punt. It'll be the first time tonight they'll be punting. They'll roll inside the 30, inside the 20, and it'll take a Nicky Rowe bounce. And it's still rolling. How about that? All the way down to the 10. So an excellent punt there from the Warriors. So now the Bears will have 90 yards of real estate to get into the end zone.
Absolutely. 90 yards is a long way, but let's give credit to that Bear Bulldog. What's the matter with me? I'm a former graduate from PSJA. I'm going to get people criticize me. But give credit to the Bear defense. And you talked about it early on. It's a matchup between the Bear defense, and they're up 2-0 now on the scoreboard, but at least they've stopped 2 possessions, and I hadn't seen that in a while. Not even the Bulldogs or the Pace Vikings were able to stop this potent Rowe Warrior offense.
So deep down, you bleed maroon and white.
That's right. Don't tell anyone, because I work for the McAllen ISD, so I have to be careful, because that's where my bread and butter comes.
Well, we're on air.
McAllen Bulldogs, so I got to be real careful, Kevin. Don't get me in trouble.
The Bears will take over, and that'll be a handoff up the middle to their man, Patino. And again, Patino is one of the keys for the offense for the Bears. He had a rough year last year, but he's really come into his own. Speaking with some of the Bears parents, they said if there's a game where Patino's going to break out, it's going to be this game.
Well, it'd be interesting to see. I know that when I saw him on video, he's a difficult kid to, he just keeps on trucking. He's got strong legs, and he keeps on moving. Most of the time, you got to put at least 2 defensive players on him.
There's a pickup of 4. That'll bring up a 2nd and 6. Ball on the 14. And the Bears will be looking to throw. Quick screen across the 10. 15. Trying to get out to the 20. And he slid down around the 19-yard line. That was Nathan Cifuentes on the reception for the Bears. So that'll bring up a 3rd and 1.
And that pretty much was Nathan Cifuentes. He's a very quick receiver, and he just put on a couple of moves. And I think because of his quickness, he was able to gain at least an additional 4 yards.
Yeah, so if you're an offense like PSJ, you gotta love the 3rd and shorts, the 2nd and shorts. I like to call them the 3rd and manageables.
That's right. I expect Jesse Navarro to maybe do a quarterback keeper on this one.
Possible tuck and run. And again, you called it. He'll pick up the first down and more, so you can move the chains for the PSJ Bears. They get a first down. They're on the move.
They're on the move, and that's a big first down for the Bear offense. One of the things that the defense for defensive coordinator Robert Bucanera is that they have been struggling. So it's important that they, right now early in the game, both teams are trying to get that confidence. So it's going to be that first team to build on that confidence. And I always feel that the first score of the game is the one that, really gets those kids going. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you want to set the tone early, especially if you're the Bears, you're underdogs, you're on the road. So a handoff will be a sweep to the left side. Got some room to run. Crossing the 40, still on his feet. Right around midfield, still on his feet, all the way down into Rowe territory around the 35-yard line. So there you go. The big play. PSJ got it. Back-to-back first downs on a big run.
I got to give credit to my scout. And my scout was Taylor Santillan, who the kid I was talking to, he told me about Nathan. He said, who's the toughest one for you when you're practicing on defense? And he said, Nathan Cifuentes is the toughest one because he's real shifty. He's real quick. He's very deceiving. And he proved it on that play.
So that'll be a big pickup for the Bears. It'll be a 1st and 10. Ball on the 35. It'll be a high snap. He'll hand it off to his back, and this time he'll go nowhere.
Good job on the defensive side for the Warriors. Omar Garza and Alex Garcia coming in there and doing an excellent job. Those are 2 kids that Coach Reyes highlighted when I spoke to him earlier today.
Yeah, those are a loss of 4, so it'll be 2nd and 14. So again, rain was in the forecast. We got plenty of it the past couple of days. Rain in pregame, so no rain so far here in McAllen, Texas.
Weather right now, Kevin.
It'll be a 2nd and 14 coming up for the Bears. And he'll roll out to his right. It is Navarro looking for a man. Completer on the 35. Met by a pair of Rowe defenders. So that'll bring up a 3rd and long.
It should be an exciting year for the PSJ Bears. Their fans are out here. They're 3-0. And Coach Marroquin, what a wonderful hire. I talked to him. I've never met him. He was very pleasant in our interview, very positive. And, he seems like the right guy for the PSJA program.
Yeah, they've really turned it around. You read the preseason projections. What are the newspapers going to say? What are the news stations going to say? They had PSJ last in the standings. So the Bears will spread him out. It'll be a 3rd and 7 coming up. Looking back to passes. Navarro has a man on the screen. High, but he caught it. Crossed the 30. So that'll bring up a 4th down and short again for the Bears. So 4-down territory.
Unless you have the kicker that the Edinburgh Bobcats have, that kid over there, Cristobal Martinez,
Yes.
he kicked a 54-yarder on this field. Unless you have someone like that, I expect the Bears to go for it.
Yes, I've covered the Edinburgh games the past 3 years, and we know Cristobal Martinez. He has a boot for a leg. So it'll be a 4th and 3 coming up for the Bears. They'll be going for it for the 2nd time tonight. Ball on the 28-yard line, and again, Navarro's going to call his own number, picking up the 1st down, and the Bears are in the red zone.
That was a very good read by Navarro. Navarro has the option to hand it off to Patino, but he noticed probably something on the left side, and he did a good job of finding the open hole. Pretty smart play there by quarterback Navarro.
So there's an injured Bear down on the field, so we're going to go ahead and recap the fans that are just tuning in. The PSJA Bears coming in with a 3-0 record. They are 1-0 in district. Meanwhile, McAllen Rowe is 1-2 and 0-1 in district. PSJ is coming off a win against PSJ Memorial, and the Rowe Warriors are coming off of a shootout loss to their cross-city rival Mackay Bulldogs. That was 42-40.
And with 4:18 remaining in this first quarter, no score. I think everybody expected by now it would be 10-10. But you never know what's going to really play out. It all happens on the field.
Exactly. So there's exactly 4 minutes and 13 seconds. The clock is starting to tick away in the opening quarter between the visiting PSJ Bears and the Nicky Rowe Warriors. 31-5A action. The Bears with the football on the 19-yard line. Navarro will hand it off to Patino. So a little bit of a surprise. The defenses have been the story, which is another surprise on the Bears side, but for Nicky Rowe.
And kids hear what's going on in the media. They read the newspapers, and then you're on defense. You take pride. You start talking about, hey, they don't have any faith in us. So, maybe they're coming out here today to try to prove a point.
That was a pickup of 2. So that'll make it a 2nd and 8. So the Bears with the football. They're looking to get on the board. Looking to crack the goose egg. Neither team has scored. Owens has had the football twice, and the Bears defense has stood tall so far. Rolling out to his right is Navarro. Is going to hit a man in the flat inside the 20. Nifty footwork on the 15. And there he is again. Cifuentes on the reception, just as you mentioned, the nifty footwork.
He turns any game. I mean, he looked like they were going to tackle him. Not a big game, but he just turns everything into a positive. Both of these teams should know each other very well since they both run the spread. They practice against each other. But yet, when you come to the game, it's about execution. And it's also what Coach Baruchi talked about, that he expects his players to execute and to play the entire 4 quarters.
It is a 3rd and 5. Ball on the 14. You got to be thinking 4-down territory again. There'll be a motion man for the Bears. It'll be a jet sweep. And Navarro calling his own number. And inside the 10, down he goes. It'll be around the 8-yard line. So if you're Coach Marroquin, you're coming into this game against an offense like Rowe. You're saying field goals won't win you this football game at least.
Well, here's the other thing, Kevin, that you also come in with the attitude that the more your offense stays on the field, the less opportunity that the Rowe Warriors will get to get into that rhythm that they have and they've had in the past. So, that's the best probably defense is staying on the field.
So the Bears will line up and go for it as called. And it could be a goal line stop from the Warriors.
I got to give credit to McAllen ISD. I'm used to screens here and everything. And sometimes it's hard to see the players. I hope our fans don't get kind of disappointed that we're not able to call out who gave the tackle. Because like you said, you're way up here.
So rather it'll be a 2nd and 7, so it's a correction. They were able to pick up the 1st down, so that was a 1st down play. Now it's a 2nd and 7 for the Bears. And going towards the end zone, he had a man wide open. Was Navarro, just sailed over his head. Incomplete pass.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you don't expect the player to be wide open, but there's an opportunity there for the Bears, but I'm sure they're going to have a lot more opportunity.
How about that? The big fella, Nick Mendoza, was the man that was wide open in the end zone. So it'll be a 3rd and 7, ball on the 7-yard line. So once again,
And probably one of the reasons why he was so open is because the Bears have been able to run the ball and they're keen on Navarro with those quarterback keepers. So that kind of gets that defense on their edge. One of the reasons why the receiver was wide open.
so Coach Marroquin will call another timeout. They have one more in their back pocket, so 2 early timeouts for the Bears. It's a good timeout in this situation. You have a 3rd and 7. You're looking to get in the end zone. You drove the ball downfield. We said the drive started at the 10-yard line.
Excellent, yes, and they've been able to move the ball. Let me get back to Coach Marroquin because I was really impressed with him that he's so appreciative of his mentor, which is a PSJA Memorial head coach, Gus Cavasso. He's been under his program for 5 years, and he was just very appreciative of what he's done for him. And he talked about how difficult it was to go back and coach against his mentor last week. It was kind of bittersweet sweet for him because he won the game, but it was against his mentor.
Yeah, a little bit of a teacher versus student type of thing. So 3rd and 7 for the Bears. Ball on the 7-yard line. Navarro is out of the gun. Two backs. One to his right, one to his left. I'll have 2 receivers to the top of your screen. Looking back to throw on the quick slant into the end zone. Touchdown, PSJ Bears. So the Bears strike first on a quick slant. We're trying to get a number on the receiver, but that is Mike Montemayor on the touchdown reception. So the Bears grab a 6-0 lead with the extra point coming up.
And that is a sign of a quality quarterback. He just made a pass that was slightly overthrown, and he came back, and this time he took advantage of the second opportunity. And this pass was harder than the first pass, but he made an excellent pass there on the post run.
So the extra point is up and good. So the PSJ Bears drive from their own 10 all the way into the end zone, ran into a couple of 4th downs, were able to convert. They lead the Warriors on the road 7-0 with a $140 in the opening quarter. So Owens has been very quiet, and like you said, to slow down an offense like the Warriors, you got to keep him on the sideline.
And this possession is going to be very interesting because they haven't been able to do it in the first 2 possessions. Now you have PSJ scoring 7-0. So are you going to, the best way to stop the momentum is to come back on yourself and develop your own momentum. Let's give credit on that extra point to Brandon Rios. And I noticed he was a lefty kicker. I'm not used to seeing a lot of lefty kickers, but I can't say too much about lefties because my wife is a lefty, so I got to be careful.
Yeah, I'm a lefty, pure.
Okay,
I right, kick, throw, eat, lefty, everything. It's a unique thing. You know, people.
She does. That's what I can't figure out. She eats with her left, writes with her right, does all these kind of crazy things.
Yeah, I write terribly, and I throw like a girl with my right hand, so.
Be careful when you say it.
So it'll be a short kick, maybe a little bit of an onside kick there from the Bears. That was a very short kick, so the Warriors will start with good field position.
That was a kind of an interesting play right there. Maybe they were trying to surprise the Warriors on that. And we'll see because, hey, it's kind of opening up the doors, taking the ball 1st and 10 right there at the 42-yard line. That should give you a little confidence that even though you didn't move the ball, you're starting off your 3rd offensive possession right there at the 42-yard line.
Yeah, Justin Owens is going to get his 3rd crack at it. This time he has his best starting field position. Ball's on the 42. That's where the Warriors will take over. They'll be going from right to left, rolling out to his left, has a man, and that falls incomplete right around midfield. And another thing about this Bear defense, they will come at you, and they'll come at you hard. A physical defense is the PSJ Bears.
And maybe that's the reasons why you have some rough passes. You're a little concerned about how you're going to get hit because these kids, they see film. They see film all week, and they see who's hitting them and who's not. But give credit to Justin on that one, even though he doesn't get credit for a completion. Anytime a quarterback rolls it to the side where it's the most difficult to throw, and you put the ball right in the money, that's a sign of a good quarterback.
After the incomplete pass, it'll be a 2nd and 10. Ball on the 42. Rowe looking back to pass again. Hits a man, kind of slips up on his own, then he's drugged down, breaking one tackle, then he's met by a couple of Bear defenders, but they'll blow the whistle dead right at the 40-yard line. That was Jesse Diaz, the man you mentioned earlier.
And boy, the Bear defense so far has been very impressive. They're very quick to get to the ball. I haven't seen this type of defense the last couple of times I've seen the Warriors.
Yeah, that was a loss of 1, so it'll be a 3rd and 11, ball on their own 41. So it'll be a motion man. They'll spread him out. It'll be a 5 receiver set. Rolling out to his right. Being rushed. Owens going downfield. Ball's in the air. Incomplete. No flags on the play, so it'll bring up a 4th and 11. Now there is a flag right in the midst of the offensive line of the Warriors.
I think they could have had a late hit.
Owens is a little bit shaken up. So that'll be a personal foul against Thomas Quiroz, and that's a big break for the Warriors because they were about to face a 4th and 11. You catch the break you desperately need so far in the first quarter, so it'll be a 1st and 10, 15 yards plus for the Warriors.
Those are the type of mistakes that will hurt your team because you're giving Justin Owens and the Warrior offense a second opportunity because there's no doubt they would have had to punt there. So now you're giving them an extra 4 downs. I guarantee you at least giving them 4 downs.
So Owens a little bit shaken up after that play. He walks to the line. He's out of the gun. Warriors are lining up with trips right, 2 to the bottom of the screen. So you're right. It's a 1st and 10 ball on the 41-yard line after that 15-yard penalty. So the Warriors will remain with the football. Bears with 2 safeties back. You got one-on-one at the top of your screen. And the play clock will start running. 44 seconds in the opening quarter. Bears lead the Warriors 7-0. And that'll be a quarterback draw from Owens, crossing the 40 down to the 35 and around to the 31-yard lines. Owens will scoot it, call his own number there, and that's what you're going to see. You're going to see some run and some pass from Owens.
And that's exactly what we saw last time. He was very effective. Almost every time he ran the ball, he gained big yardage. And he actually comes into this game averaging around 6 yards per carry. And what that does too, Kevin, is that now if you're starting to worry about Justin Owens, going up the field and running the ball, it kind of also that starts putting your defense on the alert, and it's kind of like it gets you a little bit nervous. It stops. That's the best way of stopping the aggressiveness, that you have to maintain your position.
Well, Owens was responsible for 3 passing touchdowns and also rushing for 3. So he had a monster game in last week's matchup against the Bulldogs. He's looking to duplicate that here tonight. It'll be a 1st and 10 for the Warriors, being chased from behind. Hits his check down man in the flat, crossing the 30 out to the 25. So slowly but surely, and thanks to a penalty from the Bears, the Rowe Warriors are on the move.
They're definitely on the move, and that's not what you want to do is wake up a sleeping giant on offense. Good catch right there by Rios, who also sometimes plays in the backfield.
So the ball's down to the 24-yard line. It'll be a 2nd and 3, 2nd and short. Look for a free play here from the Warriors. They'll elect to hit a swing pass, but that'll fall incomplete. So again, that may have been a backward pass, but the referee's waving it incomplete.
Okay, that was quite a dangerous pass there. It almost looked like a lateral, and we know that if that's a lateral, and it's ruled a lateral, you know that's a live ball, and anybody can pick it up and go with it.
Yeah, you're right, a dangerous throw it was. So it'll be a 3rd and 3. Ball still on the 24, 23 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Owens and company with a football. And they're going to go ahead and fake the screen pass. And Owens is scrambling, is able to elude one. Has a man, ball's up, and it's complete. So the nifty footwork from the magician Owens is able to get rid of that one, elude the rush. That's what you're going to get from a guy like Owens.
And that's what you're going to get. That's what's going to make him probably a first-team All-District quarterback. He made nothing into something, and that's what makes him special. I know Coach Brewer, who's a new head coach here at McAllen with the Bulldogs, he was raving about the play of Justin Owens.
So that would be the last play of the first quarter. So you're coming to you live from McAllen Veterans Memorial Stadium. 31-5A action as the PSJ Bears lead the McAllen Rowe Warriors 7-0 at the end of one. I'm Kevin Otto. Right by my side is Mario Reina. You're tuning into ValleyCentral.com, live video and audio. So, first quarter recap. Is this what you expected?
I really didn't expect that. I expected at least some points by the offense for the Warriors. So 7-0, you got to give credit to defensive coordinator for the Bears, Elifonso Esquivel, who's a former head coach of La Feria, and I was told that actually he's one of the few head coaches from the Rio Grande Valley to win a game at the Alamo Dome.
The Alamo Dome. That's always a big name when you're here in high school football, when you're here in the Valley. When you play in the Alamo Dome, you know it's for real.
You do.
So the Rowe Warriors will have the football. We switch sides. They'll be going south. 1st and 10, ball on the 20. First play of the second quarter. Again, they're going to stick to that swing pass, crossing the 20. 15, diving. So the Rowe Warriors are in the red zone for the first time tonight.
First time in the red zone. Nice pass by Justin Owens, and even though Jesse Diaz did not catch that pass, you got to give credit on his blocking. He's the one that actually put on a block to make sure sure that they had positive yardage on that play.
That was a pickup of 8, so a 2nd and 2 it'll be. Owens going to call his own number on the fake jet sweep down to the 9-yard line. So again, you said pace is what gets this offense in the rhythm, if you want to call it. And so far, this drive has looked more Nicky Rowe-like.
And here's where the nightmares for defensive coordinators begin because it's a first and goal, and you don't know what's coming, especially with Justin Owens. He can hit you with a pass, beat you with the arm, or he can run and beat you with his legs.
Ball on the 9-yard line. The Warriors will spread him out. Rolling out to his right is Owens. Being chased from behind. Has a man wide open. 5. Flipping into the end zone. He's down at the 1.
Oh, what credit. You got to give credit to that kid.
Again, Bobby Guajardo in on the play.
Good job on Guajardo for preventing the 6 points, but boy, Jose Chavez, he smelled the end zone and he did everything he could and he even dove, tried to get into that end zone.
So number 99, Thomas Quiroz, was ejected from the,
Just to do a quarterback keep.
and just as he called it, Owens will call his own number in for the Warrior touchdown. And they're an extra point away from knotting this one up. So some news just broke that Thomas Quiroz, the man who was responsible for that late hit on Owens, has been ejected from the ball game. So that's a big piece that will be missing along the defensive line for the Bears.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a new rule out there. I don't know if it's called targeting.
Targeting.
And you can't do that. And now the official has to judge if it was targeting. They not only give the penalty, but they also eject the player.
So the extra point is up. And it is good. So Tyler Owens leads his offense right down the field. We're knotted up 7-7 with 10:37 remaining in the first half. So just what the doctor ordered, the Warriors answer the call, tie up the game. So you're if Novato and the Bears, you want to repeat what you did on that previous drive.
Absolutely, and I think Coach Marroquin is probably going to be a little disappointed because a couple of penalty here and there really hurt them, especially on that 4th down, where there's no doubt. I know Coach Reyes likes to go on it, for a 4th down, but I don't think he would have done that where the ball was and it was 11 yards to go. He probably would have punted, and it would have gotten back the ball to the offense. But unfortunately, they're kids, they're young men out there, and they get a little. You have an opportunity to hit a quarterback, and you take your shot.
Yeah, definitely. So that mistake proved costly as the Warriors were able to get on the board for the first time tonight.
And you need to be careful also with Coach Reyes. He sometimes he comes up with some gadget plays on outside kicks, so look out for that.
So the Warriors, for now, will be kicking off to the Bears. And that'll be a pooch kick. Ball's on the ground. And a smart play there from the return man from the Bears, kind of just falling on it, holding on to the football. So the PSJA Bears will take over. We're all knotted up 7-7.
Good job there for the PSJA Bears, and he won't get any credit, but he did a good job. Isaiah used those push punts, on the kickoffs. You never know. They can go wild, and he did a good job of making sure he secured the ball for the Bears.
So out comes Jules Navarro for the Bears, looking to answer the call and regain the lead for the second time tonight. Bears with the football, ball on the 32. Again, they'll spread them out. That'll be a handoff to Patino, running hard right up the middle.
Anytime you have defensive backs coming in on the tackle, you're going to gain at least 5 yards, and that's exactly what happened there. A good job on the left side of the offensive line for the Bears, doing a good job right there.
You can cut it in half, make it a 2nd and 5. Ball on the 37. 4 receivers set for PSJA, and again, they'll feed their premier back, that is Patino. He'll take the handoff, fall a couple of yards shy of the first down. Aaron Ramirez checks into the game defensively for the Warriors, so it'll be a 3rd and 1 coming up.
The chess game continues, Kevin, that the Bears are trying to establish their running game. Once you do that, it opens up your passing game. And I do believe that the Bears came in here with a little bit more success. You were able to see them. Were they more successful running or passing in the game that you saw?
Actually, it was a little bit of both. Patino had himself a good game, but the key of the game was the defense. We'll get to that after this play. Navarro's going to call his own number. Met right at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be close. That's one of those games where it'll go either way. They were slinging the ball around the defense for PSJ. What the main thing was they slowed down the quarterback for Los Fresnos and made him one-dimensional. So coming into this game defensively, the Bears wanted to make Nicky Rowe one-dimensional. They figured if they could slow down Owens with his legs, they'd say, okay, we'll stop you on the ground. We're going to force you to throw the football.
Well, with my partner up here, Mark May, we always predict. What do you think? You think this is first down or not?
It's going to be close. I'd say
I say no.
the chains are going to come out. And we're going to squint our eyes.
You're waiting until you see the chain. Come on, Kevin.
Hey, you said it. It was short.
Well, you have to. I am a basketball official, volleyball official, so maybe I have the eye as an official.
Just maybe. So you were correct on your predictions. It was a 4th and short.
Here they go. They're going for it.
And you're correct. They'll be going for it. They'll line up tight. And a direct handoff. Did he get it? It's going to be...
You got it.
He may have just gotten it by half a step. We'll see where the officials will spot the ball with the spot. It looks like he may have got it, and they'll signal it first down PSJA. So they're going to roll the dice. They'll convert on 4th down.
Hey, and today it's about rolling the dice by both coaches. Good play. It worked out for the Bears.
That's their 5th first down of the night. So the Bears will move the chains. Ball on the 43, 9 minutes remaining. And the first half out of the gun is Navarro is going to hit a quick man on the curl route around the 50-yard line into Warrior territory.
And on a tackle on that one, Kevin, is number 8, Zach Cables. I don't know if we can see it, but he is wearing on his left. You can see him with a cast. He's actually playing with a broken arm.
Wow. Kudos to him. That was a pickup of 8, so it's a 2nd and 2. Ball right around midfield. And again, they'll hit that curl route. They'll lead a first down at the 40-yard line. Montemayor again on the reception for the Bears. So Navarro, like Owens, is starting to find his groove.
Well, as you can see, the Bears had 3 runs. They were successful, actually 4 runs when they got the first down. So now the defense is taking runs, and all of a sudden Navarro comes and surprises you with back-to-back completions.
Now that was a pickup of 9, 1st and 10. Ball on the 40. The Bears will spread them out. Snaps there. It'll be hand up to Patino. So once again, speaking with a lot of the Bears parents and some of the coaches on the sideline, they said if Patino's going to have a breakout game, this is going to be the game tonight. So he's looking to get a bulk load of the carries tonight.
And so far he's looked pretty good, and he has also looked like he's just within 1 step of breaking it.
That was a pickup of 3, so we'll call it a 2nd and 7 for the Bears. Navarro will fake the handoff, hit the quick screen onto the 35, and a good open field tackle there from the Warrior D.
On the tackle right there, good job. You called it Raul Benson. Doing a good job. One-on-one. Anytime you have a solo tackle out in the open, you got to get more than just credit for a good tackle.
Just textbook tackling there from the Warriors. So it'll be a 3rd and 5. Ball on the 35. Bears with the football, and they look to regain the lead for the 2nd time here tonight.
And when you have the attack going on the ground or on the air, you have either choice.
So 3rd and 5. Navarro will roll out to his right again. The ball's in and out of the hands of his intended receiver around the 30-yard line. So an incomplete pass means 2 things. 4th and 5, and the clock will stop.
And here's where it's real difficult for coaches when you have the ball at the 35-yard line. It's going to, unless you have Cristobal Martinez, one of my favorite kickers, 52-yarder. I know he'd be on the field right now, but I would assume that they're going to have to go for it.
Yeah, because again, you won't get much if the ball lands into the end zone, which results in a touchback. That'll be on the 25. So essentially, you're giving up the 10-yard difference. So it'll be a 4th and 5 coming up for the Bears. They'll be going for it. Back to passes Navarro. Blitz. Had a man in the screen. Over his head. Incomplete. Turnover on downs. The Warrior defense answers the call.
So, the Warrior defense, who hasn't gotten a lot of credit this year, you got to give them credit for another stop. Good job.
Had the Warriors brought the blitz there. The play was there. They had the screen man wide open right in the between the hash marks. Ball just sailed over his head. Turnover on downs. And out comes Owens. Previous drive.
And all quarterbacks will tell you, Kevin, from the pros all the way down, that, it's a matter of time. If you have time, all quarterbacks are going to be successful, but the blitz forced Navarro to quickly pass.
So again, both offenses sticking to the quick screen. Crossing the 40, still on his feet. Some nifty footwork there from the Nicky Rowe Warriors. So both teams have turned the ball over and downs twice.
Sometimes you don't see that.
So that'll pick up of 9. That'll bring up a very short 2nd and 1. Let's see if the Warriors will take this free play here. No, they'll go ahead and stick it to the ground. It'll be a first down and more, crossing midfield down to the 44. Is their tailback. So first down, Nicky Rowe Warriors.
Nice opening to the right side for Jose Chavez. Good job on the right offensive side, led by Miles Diaz on the right side of the O-line for the Warriors.
So again, they're going to stick to that quick screen, crossing midfield, gets a block all the way down to the, call it the 34-yard line. That's Nicky Rowe's 5th first down of the game. So PSJ has 6. Nicky Rowe has 5.
That was Jesse Diaz, I do believe, on the last cut.
Ball on the 33. Owens will call his own number, cutting it back upfield. Flags will come in the area of holding. We're going to see what the call is. So Juan Elias was found guilty of the hold there. So that'll set back the offense for now.
And besides the turnover, there's nothing worse than having a big penalty when you're on the move. It makes it 1st and 20 at their own 43. But with this offense, I've seen that a 1st and 30 sometimes means nothing.
So the clock starting to wind down in the final 6 minutes of the opening half. There'll be a motion man for the Warriors. 1st and 20 after the holding penalty. Looking back to pass. Has time. Trying to roll out of the pocket. Still has time, rolling back to his left. Getting good protection. And he's going to go ahead and scoot out of bounds. So, hey, credit the secondary there for the PSJ Bears.
Once again, the secondary for the Bears doing a good job of staying with the routes of the Warrior offense.
And they held him to a pickup of 1 there. So you're right. You know, when you have time like that, occasionally a wide receiver will somehow squeeze his way and find an opening. But that time, the secondary for the Bears really stepped up. So rather, the scoreboard will indicate a 2nd and 20, so he didn't pick up any yards. Ball on the 43. Warriors will spread him out. And here comes the blitz. Hit as he's thrown. Ball's in the air. Intercepted. No, rather, the Warriors will leap up and catch that one. So again, these a little bit blurry down here with the window.
Good one, Kevin. Blame it on the window. Nice catch right there by Jesus Gutierrez. And you know, I don't know if that was the intended receiver. It looked like, I was almost going to say, Justin, what are you doing? He kind of floated the ball out there. And Jesse Gutierrez came from nowhere. I really don't know if he was the intended receiver.
Yeah, there was a wounded duck up in the air. The Rowe Warriors were able to come down with it. So again, Owens calling his own number inside the 5, all the way down to the 2 to 3 yard line.
You got to give credit to Owens on that one. It's just a read, a simple read. He looks, but Coach Ray was talking to me that he starts his reading patterns from high to low, meaning that he looks at the defensive backs and then he sees the linebackers, and when he spots that he's going to have the edge, it's a one-on-one deal. More often than not, Justin Owens is going to win that deal.
So ball on the 3. They'll hand it off, looking to get in the end zone. Did he get in? Yes. Signaling touchdown, Warriors. So that holding penalty didn't seem to phase the offense as they take the lead for the first time tonight. The extra point is coming up. So with 5 minutes in the first half. And that is shanked, a line drive extra point. It's no good. So it'll be 13-7 Warriors.
And usually sometimes extra points, they usually come back to haunt. And it did the Warriors last week because 42-40, they missed a couple of extra points and that forced them to start going for 2s. And that was the difference in the ball game. last week when the Warriors lost 42-40.
So if you want to call it a moral victory for the Bears, but now the Warriors have the momentum. 2 straight drives with a pair of touchdowns. And now their offense, like you said, they're starting to find their pace.
They are, and that's just one of the things that it's a rhythm offense. And you know, when you look at this game, to me, it just looks like the Bears have outplayed the Warriors. Yet it doesn't look like that on the scoreboard because of a couple of costly penalties and mistakes that have really hurt the Bears. And look out for Coach Reyes here. I don't know if he wants to do it right now, but he never surprises me. Anytime the Warriors have a kickoff, I'm really paying attention because he surprised me many times in coming up with unusual gadgets.
So we'll see what they elect to do here as they're, for now, getting set to kick off the ball to the Bears. They trail for the first time tonight, 13-7, 5 minutes in the first half. And again, another short kick, and the ball's on the ground. It is a live football.
I think
We're
the
gonna
Warriors got the ball.
It's a scrum for the football. No signal yet. So the Bears dodge a bullet there.
He sure did. Nervous time for Coach Marroquin because he just gave up a touchdown. They couldn't stop the Warriors on a first and long, and giving back the ball to the Warriors down already 13-7. It would have been dangerous time. But this is something that Coach Reyes likes to do, and you can see why he likes to do that. I asked him why. He said sometimes he'd rather take the risk of than to give a big play where somebody runs it all the way down. I guess he had bad experiences with a lot of kickoffs going back the other way.
Just maybe it'll be first and 10, ball on the 37. Bears with the football, and they'll hand it off to Navarro. So again, you said the Warriors with their offense, the way they run it with the spread, finding their pace is the key. So their previous 2 drives, they put up 13 points. They missed the extra point. They lead for the first time tonight, and you said you look at the stat sheet, then you look up at the scoreboard, and it kind of doesn't match.
Right, and a good defensive play there by Brandon Hinojosa and Ociel Villarreal for the Warrior defense.
Well, that was a loss of 2, rather. So it'll be a 2nd and 12. Ball on the 35, 4 minutes, and counting. Navarro has time. He's going to go deep down the field. Ball's up, in and out of the hands of a Bears receiver.
Ouch, that hurts a little bit. You don't expect that from the receiver. More often than not, I know that receiver right there is going to catch that ball.
That was Nathan Cifuentes. Dropped a big pass. Navarro put it right on the money. That's a tough break there for the Bears. On the other hand, the Warriors are kind of wiping the sweat off their foreheads.
Another missed opportunity for the Bears.
So a 3rd and 12. Navarro rolling out, and down he goes. The Warriors are able to bring the house, and a big loss for the Bears offense. Now they'll be punting back to Owens, who has the hot hand here in the second quarter.
The blitz on that one worked out pretty good for the Warriors. Ismael Contreras, so give credit to the Warrior defense and defensive coordinator Robert Bocanera making the call on that one.
So after the big drop pass from Cifuentes, Navarro hits the turf, goes down, so it's a 4th and 22. The Warriors should get the ball in good field position. They lead the Bears 13-7, 3:24 in the first half. So we let the play clock run down. Gets it off right before it expired. It's a high, short punt. Flags will come in. And it'll roll around right the 49, 50-yard line. We'll see where they spot it. They'll spot it right at midfield. There's a flag on the field. We'll see what the call is. So that was Brandon Hinojosa called guilty of a hold, so that'll back him up 10 yards for the Warrior offense. So they lead the Bears 13-7, 3 minutes and 8 seconds remaining in the first half. You're tuning into the PSJ Bears and the Nicky Rowe Warriors. Thank you for tuning into ValleyCentral.com. Kevin Otto and Mario Reina bringing you the action.
I know it's early here, really in the first half, but this is a big possession. This is a big possession the Bears need to hold, because if the Warriors score here and they go into the half with the momentum, it can be demoralizing for the Bears.
That is correct. So the ball's on the 40. The Warriors will have the football. They'll be going from left to right. So Owens will call his own number. He's met by a gang of defenders there. So two things are on your side: the score and the clock.
Two things are on your side. The thing is also add another thing on your side, which is number 2,
Yes.
Justin Owens.
So the Warriors have all the time in the world. After a pickup of 3, he'll sling it to the right on the screen.
Ouch.
And a big hit there from the PSJ Bears.
That kid can hit. I heard it all the way up here. Nice catch by Edgar Perez. But once again, Jesse Diaz and company, the other receivers, doing a good job of blocking.
So that'll bring him a 3rd and 1. And again, Owens going to call his own number. He'll pick up the first down. So you're right, it's a very physical football game with the Bears defense and the Nicky Rowe defense has been the story through the first half.
And it's good to have a physical defense, but a couple of occasions, too physical cost them some penalties that hurt the defense.
It'll be a 1st and 10, rolling out to his left, complete around the 40-yard line. So the Nicky Rowe Warriors.
Nice catch by Perez. And I'm always impressed when a quarterback is a right-hander and he rolls to his left and throws against his throwing motion and he completes. That's always very impressive.
So 2nd and 2 coming up, ball on the 40. Under 2 minutes to go, so the 2-minute offense coming from the Warriors. Again, the swing pass crossing the 40, 45, and down he goes around the 31 to the 32-yard line. So the Warriors are on the move. 1st and 10.
Rios on that nice catch.
The ball on the 32-yard line. A $132 in the opening half. 1st and 10. And Owens calling his own number, crossing the 30, still on his feet, inside to the 24-yard line. We'll see where they spot it.
Decision by Owens. He didn't see much on the pass, and he took off. And Owens is very deceptive. He's about 6'1", and he looks like he's a slow kid, but he's not. He's got a lot of quickness.
So again, they hit the quick screen, makes one man miss, still on his feet, and Wahadlu and company's in there to the 25-yard line. So the clock's winding down into the final minute. It'll stop at 55 seconds. They'll spot the ball. Scoreboard indicates a 3rd and 2.
Edgar Perez, timeout. Edgar Perez on that reception took a lot of hits.
Yeah, Nicky Rowe will take, I believe it is their first time out of the half. Why not? You have the football, 4 down territory, 55 seconds. In the first half, you have the lead, you have the ball, and like you said, they have number 2.
One of the things you're going to look at right here, Coach Reyes, he's had problems with his kicking team. So I know in his head he's going to. It's a 2 down territory, like you said, and he's looking to score a touchdown. No doubt about that.
And then you mentioned the gadget plays he likes to pull out of his back pocket, so maybe we could see one here, or he could just be digging in deep in his playbook and looking for a special play here for his offense.
I can almost assure you that maybe one of the first options is going to be that quarterback draw. Probably told Owens look for that first because it's worked already several times, and then look for a quick short pass. Maybe Diaz, number 10 for the Warriors.
3rd and 2 coming up. And again, rolling out to his left, looking for a man, still on his feet, flushed out of the pocket. And he'll go ahead and just throw this one out of bounds. One thing I've seen with Veterans Memorial and with Sherryland is they'll go to that screen a lot. They'll set it up. And then on one play, they'll fake the screen and go deep.
Yeah, well, the other thing that they look at when you touchdown himself. So what did he do? He just threw the ball away.
Yeah, that's a veteran move. He's a senior, and that's what you get out of your senior quarterback. Smart decision making. So it's 47 seconds, still a 4th and 2. Warriors looking to convert. 44 seconds in the first half. Warriors lead the Bears 13-7. And again, check down man. And that'll be complete. So the Warriors will pick up a first down.
Real nice throw, real nice catch by Victor Adames.
So the ball is on the 16-yard line. So if you're the Bear defense, you cannot allow any points here. If you want to stick around, clock's ticking, 40 seconds. 1st and 10, ball on the 16. Owens looking back to pass. Has a man down the seam, incomplete. Owens had him and missed him.
Nice job by the offensive line for the Warriors. They gave Justin plenty of time, and I kept looking at him after the throw, and I think he's kind of being hard on himself, saying, I had an excellent opportunity.
So the clock will stop at 35 seconds after the incomplete pass. 2nd and 10, ball on the 16.
You know what happened to Jesse Navarro last time? He also had an overthrow, and then he came back and made a perfect throw for a touchdown. So let's see how Owens responds.
So Navarro will look back to pass, being blitzed. Ball floats into the end zone, has a man, and for the Rowe touchdown.
Jesse Diaz is a player I highlighted earlier in the game.
So this time he connects to his man, Jesse Diaz. So you're signaling 2. They'll be looking to go for it to make it a 21-7 game. Right now it's 19-7. So 19 unanswered points for the Nicky Rowe Warriors. A flag on the play.
Is there a flag, or are they coming up here for a review? Was that a catch or something? Oh, we don't have that in high
We don't have a review. No, not yet. But the officials are discussing something down on the field. Meanwhile, it's
a taunting kind of penalty. We'll see.
28 seconds in the first half. Warriors with 19 unanswered. They have a 19-7 lead. Looks to be against the Bears. Here's the call from the official.
Another penalty on the Bears, and that doesn't help because not only makes it a half a distance, is about a 1.5 yard.
That is correct. So they'll be going for 2, motion man. And that is Owens who gets stuffed. The Bears did not bite on that fake jet sweep. So it'll stay a 19-7 ball game. So again, another moral victory, if you want to call it, for the Bears.
Yeah, but when you look at this game, it's now that the Warriors have been moving, it's kind of like I see it as an evenly matched game. You know, I would expect the score to be kind of even, but that's not on the scoreboard with the Warriors ahead, 19-7. It's just a couple of little plays that the Bears are hurting themselves, and those are the things that hurt them last year when they went into that 1-9 funk. But those are things that they have to clean up. They're just hurting themselves with some unnecessary penalties, lack of execution, drop passes, and that's why they're down 19-7. But you know, they still have a second half, and we'll see.
And it's the same song, but just a different verse for the Bears. As they were in the same situation against Los Fresnos 2 weeks ago. So you never know, but you're right. The personal foul against the quarterback led to a touchdown. Then the drop pass down the sideline led to a turnover on downs. So really, Nicky Rowe has the leg up when it comes to the mistake column, if you want to call it. They've been able to capitalize. 19 unanswered. The Bears came into the game leading 7-0. And again, Owens found his form. They're up 19-7.
And you make a good point that the fact that they came back against the Falcons, that's something that Coach Marroquin will definitely bring up at halftime.
So again, it'll be a pooch kick. Bears taking their time to recover, crossing the 25 and running backwards there. So there's 23 seconds. You have one timeout in your back pocket. What do you do here if you're Coach Marroquin?
I think Coach Marroquin will say, you know what, I don't have a problem going down 19-7. He doesn't need to risk anything and just themselves. Their defense did a good job of stopping the Warriors on a couple of occasions, and their offense moved the ball. So it's just something that things are not clicking.
So with 23 seconds remaining in the opening half, you're tuning into the PSJ Bears and the Nicky Rowe Warriors.
That's the other thing, Kevin, that when the Warriors are coming in at 0-1, they're playing with a sense of urgency, knowing they cannot afford to go 0-2. And the Bears are coming in with confidence at 1-0.
So the Bears going to elect to throw here. It's incomplete, across the 25. And then he's still on his feet. So some nifty footwork there from the Bears, but the clock will wind down. We're in the final 10 seconds. That should do it for the first half. And we've reached the end of the first half between the PSJ Bears and the Nicky Rowe Warriors. I'm Kevin Otto. Right by my side is Mario Reyna. You're tuning into ValleyCentral.com with some 31 5A action. So we head into halftime. The Nicky Rowe Warriors lead the PSJ Bears 19-7. We'll be back. We're going to take a quick halftime break. Second half action coming right up on ValleyCentral.com.
So we're done till when?